Back in bold. Another dreary day in Coritiba. It's supposed to be freaking the end of spring or middle of spring. It's supposed to be beautiful, nice. I was just in Rio early this week handling some business. The sun was shining, and now I come to this freaking weather, man. It's depressing me in Coritiba, but I'm on a 30-hour fast right now. Okay, so I got a clear fast head going. I'm feeling good. I had to lose some weight. I was putting on too many pounds drinking, and I also got my micro needling done. So my face
Looks
is starting to
good.
get pretty again, right? But I'm with Pat.
Looks good.
Yeah, good. I'm with Pat, a Twitter friend. We've been kind of going back and forth. He's been basing in Brazil last couple of years. Met a Brazilian girl in Boston, where he's from. And today, I think we're gonna focus in on kind of that more mature gentleman. Getting up in the ages, pre-retirement. Maybe post-divorce. Not saying that you got a post-divorce, but coming down to Latin America. Because I always talk to the young dudes. It's a young man's world down here, but a lot of older dudes could, I think, benefit. But there's also a lot of negatives that we're gonna discuss. So, Pat, who are you, my friend?
Yeah. Uh, Basically, the easiest way to describe me is firefighter for about 24 years, nurse for a long time, paramedic for a long time, emergency services, jumped around a lot in that area. Right now, as you had mentioned, I'm married to a Brazilian woman. We've been married since 2016. We met in Boston, and I first went to Brazil down in 2017, and I was just hit in the face like a cold splash of water. I thought I knew the culture because the neighborhood I lived in was all Brazilian, but you find out really quick that it is different. But I found a lot of interesting things down there, and I started questioning, why do so many Brazilians want to leave Brazil? Why do they want to come to America? Because I'm taking the opposite path. I'd like to base up full time in Brazil. And there's many different reasons why. It's a very complex thing to work through, but no one really knows the answers, but I'm finding out as I go along. And I'm unique in the sense that most of the guys on your podcast that I do watch are younger, and God bless you, I live vicariously through you guys. It brings back a lot of memories and a lot of thoughts. And I may be older, I'm 50, but I wouldn't say I'm wiser than you guys. And I have a lot to learn myself. And you guys are a little bit ahead of me. And I wish I was at that point when I was your age. But 50, and there's still a lot to do. It's all about health, not really about what it says on your license.
Totally. You look great. You look fine. Hakuna Matata. Everyone's got a different path. You were too busy saving lives. I was too busy drinking vino in Italy and getting drunk on the beach in Brazil, right? So, but let's get into this for sure because I 100% agree. When you first come to Brazil, so many gringos get the Beleza glasses on, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is paradise on earth. This is the most great thing ever. The beaches, the people are so friendly to me. It's so cheap." And then you start living down here, you see the other side of things and why the Brazilians. I mean, a lot of them hate each other. Okay, there's a lot of anger and low trust down here, and why a lot of them want to get to Europe or USA, and especially on Twitter, man. I had a tweet go viral a couple weeks ago. I said I'm so over Brazilians, and I told a story about someone stealing like one sandal and going through my food, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
I thought people would go after me, but the Brazilians were like, "Oh my God, I can't stand Brazilians either. You're 100% right. I want to get the hell out of here." And it was wild because usually the Brazilians
Yeah.
team up on the Gringos if you say bad stuff about them, but on Twitter they talk a lot of shit.
Yeah, and I just had an experience like that, a little bit more than a sandal. Me and the wife, we put up a freaking stone wall at one of our properties, and they took the stone wall down. They deconstructed it and took it, and I'm just like, you just took about 50 feet of brick. That was a lot of work to do to take it down. So I hope you got a pretty penny on that one. So now it's just going to be probably razor wire. I don't know what I'm going to do, but
Pat,
yeah,
where are you down? Like what area? If you don't want to say the exact city.
yeah. So we can get into it, the genesis of it, but where I am right now is Santa Catarina, the state of, right outside of Florianopolis. There's Bombinhas, little peninsula that sticks out. You can actually see Florianopolis from some of the beaches from there. About 40-minute drive. And I'm also based up in Governador Celsos Ramos. There's a couple beaches there that I have a condo at and some land, Praia de Palmas. So I don't know if you're familiar with those two places, but they're both about 40 minutes north and south of Florianopolis. So I spend a lot of time in Florianopolis, a lot of time.
Yeah, when I first came to Brazil, that was 2021. I did about 4 months in Floripa. So I did Centro, then Bar da Lagoa, and then where all the Argentines stay, not judiciary, but to the right of it in the north.
Hmm.
And I loved it. Yeah, I really did. And then I started exploring more of the country later on. I left and then came back, I think 2023. And that's when I lived in Belo Horizonte for a while and then João Pessoa in the northeast. And then I experienced that. And I was like, holy shit. But the South is great. I mean, if it wasn't for the weather, like I told you, I'm experiencing now, I think it would be top of the top. It's definitely more developed. It's definitely more, say, European. But then you're missing that real extreme beleza you get in the Northeast. Like the people, they can come off as kind of rude down here and like Europeans, right? So, but Santa Catarina is amazing, very developed. I did Blumenau. I was in San Francisco do Sul
Yeah,
this year.
fantastic places.
Yeah,
Fantastic places.
really
Yeah.
Pomeroji. But
Yeah.
so what about you there? The girl, her family's from that area, or you just chose it because it's typically the best
Yeah.
state? To visit?
Yeah, I mean, she grew up in a place called Araranguá, which is probably about 3 hours south of Florianopolis on the coast. And she went to school up in Bombinhas for college. And she just fell in love with Bombinhas because it was paradisical. It is paradisical. Bombinhas is just this peninsula that is kind of separate from everything else. Even the rest of Santa Catarina. It's it's like its own vibe, surfer type of vibe, a little Maconia, a little working neighborhoods. Everyone seems to know each other. Up until recently, now there's a lot of tourists coming in, so it's very tourist dependent on the Argentinos and the Paraguay guys coming in for vacations. So it's a laid back place, and there's no crime, and it's really chill, and people are friendly there. The beaches are outstanding, so that's kind of where my home base is.
Yeah,
I like
so
it there.
the South, you don't have to worry too much about crime at all. I feel
Yeah.
very secure, even in the Centros, which normally I get really rough in the rest of Brazil. But the South is Hakuna Matata. First couple weeks, you'll be maybe a little on edge. Then you get your bearings, and you'll move around like there's no issue whatsoever. But
Yeah,
okay,
one of the things I say, if you're the baddest dude in the neighborhood, there is no bad neighborhood. So you just carry your head on a swivel and don't speak up too much and just take care of your own business. Most likely, nothing will happen, you know.
well, let's get into that though. So you started falling in love with Brazil. Okay, why do you want to get out of
Yeah.
the USA? Obviously, that Boston area, the weather gets kind of crappy too. Maybe not as beautiful
Yeah.
beaches, but kind of go through the mindset. This is 10 years ago, so you're around 40, right?
Yeah.
And you start visiting Brazil off and on, and there's something that's switching your brain, or what's up?
Oh yeah. So, one of the reasons why, you had mentioned before about some animosity between even amongst Brazilians, or look at the United States. We don't have to focus that much. You look at the world. People are at odds with each other. You can feel it in the air. And you can say it's politics. It ain't politics. You can say it's your favorite sports team. It's not that either. It's not the color of your skin. It's none of that bullshit. It really comes down to money. People don't have money. They don't have access to money. They get angry. And when you get angry, you start doing a little weird things. Become, you know, fanaticized a little bit. Start taking a little bit of a negative attitude on the world. That's the root of all the problems. That's the root of all the problems. So, that being said, with me, 2016, roughly 10 years ago, as a firefighter, moving up on the career ladder, a lot of responsibility, busting my butt, working about 80, 90 hours a week, my own small business, nursing, firefighting, my own business, just busting my ass. And I came down with cancer. Got diagnosed with cancer. No symptoms. Absolutely no symptoms, but a pulled muscle. I went to go see a doctor because of the pulled muscle. Said it's a pulled muscle. Well, I was single at the time, so during my, late nights and whatever with the nurses, and I kept noticing that I had this pain in my belly, and I went back again, and this nurse practitioner said, you should get a poop test, you should get a blood test, you should get an X-ray. Okay. all clear. She's like, it's probably just a pulled muscle. But before you leave, let's get a CT scan. Oh, okay, I'm a nurse. I was like, that's not in protocol. I'm 40 years old. Why do I need a CT scan? Everything else is negative. She's like, help me sleep better at night. So I did. I went and got that CT scan. Cancer. And I knew it. As soon as they read me that, I was like, oh shit. It just binged me. And that runs in the fire services. Colon cancer and all different types of cancers run in the fire service. So I was like, shit, here I am, a statistic. Now I was engaged, I was going out with my wife at that time. We got engaged. Right at that point, I said, boom, we're getting engaged. You know, this is going to happen anyways, one way or the other. Let's just speed it up. Because I don't know if I'm going to be around for a while. You know, I'm like looking at mortality at 40. So your life changes really quick at that point. And unless you've been there, unless you've survived near death stuff, unless you've had a slow moving car crash like I was going through, no one's going to understand what I'm saying. No one's going to understand until you're there someday, and then you're going to understand exactly what happens. Your life becomes minutes. Unfortunately, you start thinking about dollars, and I don't like to think like that because I'm not a money guy. It's not the most important thing in my life. But you start to think about that. What am I going to leave for my loved ones, and is this all I'm worth? After a lifetime of 20 years of working, is this what I'm worth? Just this number on a screen. And that's when it first clicks in your head. You better start finding something else to do, because you are not identified by being a firefighter or a nurse. If that's all you can say you did, even though those are great careers, you missed out on a lot. If that's the only thing you can fall back on. I'm firefighter so-and-so, I'm nurse Cratchit or Hatchet or whatever. It's bullshit. You start to see what's bullshit, what's not. So I made a pledge at that point in the hospital bed that I'm going to take all this bullshit money, this number on a screen, and I'm going to convert it into something that I can leave behind. What is going to stand the test of time? Real estate, Bitcoin. And that's when I did it. And from that point, you waver in conviction, you waver in, is this the right move? And there's a lot of second doubts. But I already chose a path. Right or wrong, live or die, I'm going to go 50-50 with my whole net worth into Bitcoin and real estate. That was the genesis of it. All these years later, you're looking at my hand here in a cast after surgery. Maybe it's going to be a long road for me to come back to finish up a couple years on the job, or it could end my career. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But this reinforces, and it should click in a lot of people's mind, you guys are young, but it can be taken away from you in a second. The now is important, living a good life, being a nice person, having a good time, sensory. Taste it, smell it, feel it, see it, think it. It's very important right now. But you gotta figure out a way to sustain that. You know, you have to secure the dream, not just live it right now. These are things that I've thought about. I'm living the dream. How do I sustain it? I'm 50. I want to live like this until I'm 90 without worrying or stressing about money on a screen. I want to position myself so that I can.
Beautiful. No. Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
first of all, are you cancer free or what?
Yeah. It's after 5 years, you have the same chances of coming down with cancer as everyone else. If you make it to 5 years. So it's been 10, almost 10 years, right? Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so part of that epiphany from the cancer scare was I'm gonna go to Brazil, or just living life
Well,
to
yeah.
how you.
Yeah, it was. So, like my wife we got married, and we were both working really hard, and we were thinking about buying a place away from Boston, somewhere else. New Hampshire we were looking at, but after spending some time up there, I think she found it kind of boring. I don't think I could have put up with the winters for that much longer. So I said, let's go to Brazil and check it out. She's like, you have to see this place called Bombinhas. And when I went and saw it, I couldn't believe it. I'm used to I don't know if you've ever been to the Northeast, like Cape Cod or Rhode Island or Connecticut. The beaches have a certain feel to them. Kind of like gritty, rocky, sandy, seaweed. It has a smell to it. Very salty, cold as hell. And you can't really see under the water. a lot of horse flies, all that stuff. So it's really, if you think about it, not that pleasurable to go to the beaches up here. When I saw the beaches over there in Brazil, how clean the water was, didn't sting my eyes, didn't smell, wasn't slimy, and the sand was like cotton. I was just like, this is like the best. The waves were cool. I felt like a kid again. I was like, these waves are great. And I used to like to swim out there. So that's how I got my exercise. The water was warm. I could swim deep in that ocean and not even get cold and just get my workout in. So I was like, this is paradise. And then when I saw the next beach next to it, and then the next one, and then the next one, and it was just endless. I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And if I get hungry, I can get a coconut delivered to me and a fried fish or something. The portions, the little pastry portions. It's like, this is great. So that was the start of it. Built a house, then that turned into get another place, and get some land, get a farm. It just started rolling. Now it's more of a safety or like a ace in the hole for you. I feel very secure now, in terms of always got a place to go and I got places to be. I always have something to do.
Yeah, I always say there's life before Brazil and there's life after for sure. When you first get that taste, you're like, God
Yeah.
damn, this. There's no one that does beach life like Brazilians. Okay, like maybe there's prettier beaches in some of the world, but the environment, the vibe, the
Yeah.
atmosphere, it's intoxicating. The beleza, right? I think it's
Yeah.
everyone before they die has to try it out.
It, and that's what's different too. It's like my comparison from being a firefighter working in the Northeast, old school style, everything is pressure, stress, time, emergency, it's time based. Everything is start your shift, end your shift. Everything is hours, minutes. And then when I found out you get down there in Brazil, there's not even a clock here. It's just when you get hungry, you start getting used to it. Well, it must be noon. It must be noon on the spot because I'm hungry. And then when I start jonesing for my afternoon coffee, it's 3. And then when the sun goes down, it's time for dinner. It's like you don't even need a clock anymore. But it's a different, slower pace, and I think it's much healthier for you than always looking at the clock and trying to make the next punch in the clock, make the next hour, see the next patient.
There's some sort of balance, okay? Because this is what a lot of people, especially in Europe too. When an American goes there, like, oh wow, the Europeans they have coffee with friends and they have aperitivo on a Tuesday and they have these long big dinners and that's why they live so long and but also why their economy is totally shit. Their salaries haven't been up in 20 years and their whole country is dependent on our military. Okay,
Correct.
they
Yep.
do their
You're
welfare
right.
state because we pay for their military. So there's a balance. The Americans for sure, we work like freaks. We're psychopathic. There's a reason we have all the people on the pills and the nutcases. It's a land of extremes. You have the best of the best and the worst of the worst. So how to find that balance? I've spoke on it many times where I think the trifecta is the American mindset. Okay, so you still have to be delusional, you still have to work hard, you still have to believe you can do what you want in this world. The European lifestyle, okay, so you're enjoying life, you're about style, you don't look like a slop, you eat good food, you have time with your friends and you're getting away from the screens and the work too, okay? You got to enjoy life. And then a third world paradise, okay, where you have like the most beautiful beaches, the people that get the most out of life, super Hakuna Matata. I think that trifecta is amazing at this point in my life. I don't know if I want to raise a kid in it, but yeah, I always just push back on the people when they have like that feeling of like, holy shit, the world is bigger outside of USA and grind, 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 which 100% is, but there's a reason why USA has been so successful and these countries have not been because of that
Yeah.
mindset they also embody down here.
Yep, you figured out like a term, and I think it's a real term. I don't think I invented it, but the geo arbitraging, the geo arbitraging. You use these different environments and you arbitrage it, and the base of it is the US dollar. There's no doubt that the US dollar, while it does have its serious drawbacks, I'm not really a big fan of it, but it's the best that's out there. It is, people want it, there's still a demand for it. No matter what our monetary policy does, there will still always be a demand for the US dollar because every other currency is worse. That's a fact. And that American drive in entrepreneurship and just business style of an American, I do believe, is superior to a lot of other countries. Absolutely. So, what you're doing and what your crew has figured out is how to hack this. You're hacking your life, and because life is made up of rules, objective and subjective rules, you're understanding the game and hacking it, and you're taking the best. And you have to know what those rules are. You've already done your thought process, you just explained it. You've already put the thought into it, and now you're putting it into motion. So with me going forward, even though I could sit back like a bum on the beach for the rest of my life, that isn't going to happen because it's ingrained into me to work and to go to the next challenge. And that's what I look at my journey in Brazil is. It's just the next chapter. It's not the last chapter of the book. It's just the next chapter, and I'm going to take all my previous knowledge and that drive. Yeah, I'll get a job. I'd love to get a job laying bricks or, working remotely. I would welcome it. Even though I don't need the money, I would welcome it because I got to keep going, you know?
Yeah, yeah, you need some sort of purpose, okay? Like, maybe you find a creative outlet too, if it's not just about the money. But I think, as we saw during COVID, where everyone had the free time in their world, and a lot of them were depressed and went crazy. They didn't start doing painting, they didn't start making music like they said they would if they didn't have to worry about money. They got their stimulus checks, everything was taken care of. Like a communist utopia, UBI, and it didn't happen, right? So I think for sure there's a lot to the Protestant work ethic and like, hey, work will set you free, work will make you happy. Is it your whole life? No. Okay, if that's all that defines you and that's how you get purpose and happiness in life, you're probably gonna have a tough time. But it's a major part building, creating as a human. You know what I mean? You can't
Mhm.
like all the cliches about the rich dude on the yacht and the Dan Bilzerians, how miserable they were through the hedonistic lifestyle. That's what happens. You're not fulfilling yourself by having some sort of purpose and being creative. That's a big part of what this does for me. Bold perceptions. I rarely monetize it. I do some consultation calls, but this is like a creative passion for me. Creating, okay, networking. I get to talk to you guys, but then I make these beautiful reels or art out of videos and it fulfills me a lot. So I could. A lot of people need to find that outside of work because also the dude does retire. He does come to some cheap country, does the geo arbitraging, which I'll make a point on that. And then he's okay. Now what? I've drank myself. I'm laid on the beach and I eat good food. Now I'm bored as hell. There's nothing for me to
Yep.
do. So I see that a lot of problems, and dudes start crashing out and get into ugly stuff. But on that geo arbitrage topic, so yeah, it's been popular since Tim Ferriss. I mean, he really expanded on it in the 4 Hour Work Week. I think 2004, where it was earn dollars, spend pesos, compensate in rubles. And
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Yeah, no.
yeah,
So,
definitely check out that book. Big classic, very nice book. But there's drawbacks to geo arbitraging. Yes, okay, you can earn dollars and live like a king and a couple $1,000s in certain places and so forth. But you're also trading off. Now it's not as bad because of the internet, but opportunity and networking and business in the USA. So like even New York, if you're making 200 grand and you're barely getting by, you might meet that big time business owner over here that gives you a shot, and all of a sudden you're worth a couple million in a few years, right? You're not necessarily have those opportunities in these poor countries in quotes. You can get into the high class, the elite class, way quicker as a gringo who has money, okay? But the business is done a lot differently in these places. So you're
oh,
limiting potential for okay now I feel great at this point with $5,000 a month, but I should be making 50 100 if I was in this city over here. Then I could go retire, sail off in the sunset. So there's a balance, but now luckily with the internet it's a lot easier to find these opportunities still. It never replaces meeting someone in person, okay? It's massive if you can shake someone's hand, look them in the eye, not just send them an Instagram DM, okay? But if you have a podcast like this gets a little personal. This is a hour-long conversation with a stranger. You don't really have those much, right? So now, after this, I call Pat, hey, Bambinos, you have a good real estate agent for me? Like, I got to find this guy a house down there, and we made a connection, we made a deal, right? So there's pros and cons to everything. That's basically my argument on the geo arbitraging and whatever the first topic I was talking about was.
yeah, no, that I think you hit the counterpoints, and I do see your way of thinking that. Yeah, there are some weaknesses to it. It's all about little minor tweaks and hacks, and we're all different. That's why there's no one path. And you see it a lot, like on the internet now that you mentioned it. A lot of people offering the path to, early retirement and just this hedonistic, wild, crazy life, and you never have to give a shit about anything ever again. That might work for that person. It doesn't work for everybody, you know. And what you do on the internet and the creator vibe, but with really good content, that comes from creativity and that comes from personal experience that you're sharing with the world. And that's going to be around. That's a value add because AI is not going to be able to replace that. AI can replace the paralegal. AI can replace the, probably a lot of, AI white collar jobs, and then blue collar jobs will be replaced by some of the robots when AI and robots merge. But that philosophical or creative or human connection that you're talking about in the sense of business is going to become even more valuable, I think, in the future. That's the
I hope.
skill.
I think in the next few years, yes, these creative philosophy type people now have all the tools in the world to have their vision come true and not pay Joe Schmo to help you do it, right? So it's gonna
Yes.
explode you, but then there's gonna come a point. Like even now, we're seeing people fall in love with ChatGPT. People having them be their therapist, and sooner than later, like I'm making videos on Sora too right now, and these are freaking amazing, like videos that I can get my message across. Yeah, I got to feed it, but then also I say, hey, come up with 10 similar ideas like this, and then I'll expand on three, and then it's making unbelievable copy for me, right? That
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about. So I don't know what's going to happen with the AI. That's a whole different topic. I'm glad I lived my life to the fullest before it does take over, if it does. But I don't know, man. I hope, the personal connection and the human thing will be good for some people, but a lot of people I think will be ready player one. They'll plug into the system, have every freaking thing they've ever wanted in their head. I mean, it's going to be
And,
crazy.
and that is one of the positives to circle back towards the Brazil and South America is that it will eventually come there. It will eventually come there, but you're buying time, I believe. I believe what I've done is bought time with the dollar-based conversion to the reais, living down there. I bought time against inflation. If I was solely based in the reais, no, it'd be big trouble. We'd be in trouble. If you were in Argentinian pesos, you'd be in big trouble. If that's what you worked and earned for and paid out, you'd be in trouble. But you're buying time. You're stretching out, instead of 10 years before inflation eats what you're making, you might get 25, 30 out of it, being based in the dollar, you know? Um, yeah,
Yeah, it's a
that's
Bitcoin
just,
thing. We're buying time. That's what they all say. Buying
that's
time. We're
what,
buying.
that's, that's one of the things with Bitcoin too, is like, yeah, is, it is like a time, it's like a battery. It's a battery for work, and no other currency currently can do that. There's really not really any other assets that can do that as well as Bitcoin.
Hey Pat, let's get a little practical here though for that more mature dude who
Yeah.
wants to take a massive jump like this, move into a new
Yeah.
country. There's language, cultural differences. I
Yeah.
mean, you can't be trusting many people when you bring a lot of cash down here.
No.
Kind
No.
of bring me into okay. You kept traveling back and forth with your wife there, and then finally one time you said, I'm just gonna go down there most full time or 6 months of the year." You were doing what was going on?
Yeah. That was more recently in the past couple years that we thought that I will eventually retire early and take my pension. And she works as a psychologist and a mental health clinician, a licensed mental health clinician. She can run her own practice down there, and she can also work in Brazil as a psychologist where she's licensed. So she has many options professionally. Me, I become a pensioner, a very good pension, but I also have a lot saved. So in investments and whatnot. So what I would recommend to other people my age or older or in the 40s, 50s, or even early 60s is if you're healthy, you still have a lot of time on this planet breathing. So your health is number one. You don't need to be a consumer as much as you think. When you come to Brazil, these are things that I did wrong. I would do this differently. I would learn Portuguese, actual really good Portuguese, proper pronunciation, and reading the best I could. It would be immersive, so you would have to have a family member or a spouse watch TV or whatnot. But that's something that I put off for too long. My Portuguese is poor, very poor, and it's limiting. One of the first things you should also do that I found out that I didn't do quick enough was get your, what is it called, the CPF, your social security number. So
CPF.
if you, yeah, that's kind of like the first key to allow you to do a lot of different things. You know, um, make sure your visa is up to
Hold on.
speed.
Pat, Pat. Let's go into that first topic, that language topic, okay? Because
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of dudes hear that and they say, "Fuck, I'm 50 years old. I can't learn a new language. I don't want
Mhm.
to spend the time to do it." You know, your brain's not as easy with the
It's true.
language when you're that old. Why is it so important? And also, do they absolutely freaking need to be fluent before they come down here, or can they get by a little bit and be okay?
Well, so I had my wife always as a translator because she speaks fluent English, Spanish, and Portuguese. So I relied on her too much to do translation purposes, just for speed of transaction, speed of getting around. I would highly recommend. It's not necessary. Banero, how much does it cost? Quanto? How much does it cost? Obrigado. Be polite. You can get by with a lot of things. Where I'm at in Bombinas, there's not a lot of English speaking. And if it is, it's very broken. Sao Paulo, Curitiba, places like that, you can get away with it. You don't need to be absolutely fluent in Portuguese. But I think out of respect for the culture, and you miss out on a lot. You miss out on a lot of communication and a lot of knowledge if you don't pick up on the native language of that area. You know, I think in a way, in a small way, it's a little disrespectful, and I've been disrespectful. I haven't learned as much as I should. Maybe a little laziness on my part. I'll get better in it, and then I think it will open up more worlds, more communication, more learning, both ways. I could teach people things, and they can teach me things, right? Instead of just being a quiet guy in the corner and using Google Translate on my telephone. I think there's a better way.
See, I'm still getting there. I can get by in Spanish and Portuguese,
Yeah.
but nothing too conversational. I Here's what I'm gonna say to people who are worried about that. Okay, yes, if you learn a language, it's a whole different experience. Yes, it'll be much easier. Yes, it'll be beautiful and whatnot. But if you don't need to talk to someone 24/7, if you can be alone, you'll find out a lot of these places, the high classes at least, which a lot of times, not all the time, but you want to go in those circles because those people are, going to be safe, do good business, are good people to be around. It doesn't mean I don't go to the favela or botecos and do all that crazy shit. I love that too. But a lot of them speak English in the top class, okay? And you can get
Hmm.
in there and you can get by, okay? I think I always hammer back on the language part, which I 100% recommend if you're going to live somewhere, freaking try as much as you can to learn it, even if you think the ROI is not going to be that good compared to making more money, doing content, all that. It's very important, but don't let it hold you back if you have the calling to go down to places like this, okay? Because first, one, to learn a language, you need immersion, okay? So it's going to
Yeah.
help you learn it better. But two, you're still going to have beautiful, amazing experiences and you're not going to lose your mind. Maybe I am different. I do. I live a very unique, crazy life, but I know a lot of people that you can come down here, you can be a little loner sometimes, it's not going to kill you, and you're going to still be fine. Then put your foot down. Okay, I'm going to try to learn this. I love this place. I want to live in this place and make the experience 10x. But don't let it hold you back. Too many people, oh my God, if I can't freaking speak fluent Spanish, I can't even go to Mexico. That's wrong, okay?
People are always looking for an excuse not to try a new adventure. So, like where I'm at right
Right.
now, my wife still works. She works remotely online. Um, that leaves me a lot of time. So like I jump in the car or I go for my long walks. I'll go for a 3 hour walk. I'll just start walking. Bring a bottle of water and I'll just start walking. That's part of my recovery from my injuries that I had because I hurt my hip as well. No, not just doing Pilates and yoga and like this kind of core workout thing that I got going. I got a personal trainer down there, but I go for one day out of the week a very long walk, and so I can go out and get by where I'm at. But you are 100% right. Some of the people that I've met down there, Brazilians in the doctor and medical fields, they all speak English. A lot of the nicer hotels that we've stayed at in the cities, they speak English. So you know, I can get by. I've never had an issue. Nothing's ever, there's been no weird circumstances that not knowing Portuguese got me in trouble, you know? So I wouldn't let that be something prevent a guy of going down there, you know?
100%.
And the thing too, and that's the thing, is like a lot of these guys, like Brazil is often overlooked on the map. If a guy divorced, early retired, comes down there with their wife, I can't guarantee, I can't say that, everyone's different, but I pretty much would be shocked if they didn't have a good time and enjoy it and start seeing the possibilities of at least spending a month out of the year in Brazil, because I think it has a lot to offer. I really do. You know,
Yeah, the other point you said at the CPF. Okay, I finally got a CPF the third time around here, and I did totally fine before that. iFood was tough, delivery app, so I had to get someone else's CPF. But they hand it out like candy. People will
yeah,
give you their CPFs, so it's not like a social
yeah,
security number.
yeah,
It will make it easier for off Airbnb, rental agreements. Obviously, you
yeah.
bought property, so that was very important. I would get it, but it's not that in the world. You don't need to show up with every document in the world to start making it happen down here. You can figure it out as it goes. But no, Pat, get into the big picture mindset of leaving freaking almost everything behind. Obviously, you came with a wife, so you had that partner with you. But what about your family, your friends, the way of life? I mean, this is a massive jump. And I know you weren't living there full time. How long were you staying?
So normally I would stay down there for 2 weeks out at a time. Me and the wife would go
Sweet.
down on vacation. Being a firefighter, I have not to get into the benefits, but I have very liberal benefits in terms of vacation and personal time. So I used them, and we would go down there 2, 3 weeks at a time, and we had a place to stay. So at first we would just go to Bombinis, and then we started spreading out a little bit, started adventures, road trips, weekend trips, whatever, visiting other parts of the country around Santa Catarina, Paraná, and Rio Grande do Sul. Um, it was at the beginning difficult because I was always thinking about the job and getting back, and I was wired for that. I would say it took me a couple years of vacationing down there to forget about a lot of the people up here. It is difficult. I'm from a smaller family. Um, that's difficult, leaving some of your close family members for such extended periods of time. But the job, eh, I got over that pretty quickly. I got over the job because, again, closing the chapter. I'm not a one chapter book. My life is not a one chapter book. And if I don't do it now, someday I'm going to be 60. My back's not going to feel good. And I'm not going to be able to go on those long walks or the swims or the jumps off the rocks or the late nights. I'm not going to be able to do those things. So I'm going to do it now. And I don't know, really, I'm not a guru. I don't know the future, but right now it feels like the right thing to do. One way or the other, I will not be a firefighter in a year or two, at the most. I will not be a nurse. I will not put on scrubs again. And I'm going to go most of the year in Brazil. And that's going to require me getting my residency. That's what I'm working on now, is getting my residency. And that will allow me to stay there longer throughout the year.
See, I'll hit on this
Hmm.
topic 'cause I've been on the road about 7 years now. So like, I don't see my family much, don't see my friends much, and you think when you first leave, like, oh my God, what if I can't go to the local bar with my guys, a couple times a month? Oh, I mean, we can't watch football together. My family, I'm gonna miss them so much. But then I think you learn and you start seeing things more clear. Okay, you start seeing who's in your life for what reason and what you see. Okay, these people, they still want to see me after a year, or we're still making phone calls, and wow, this is actually a good relationship, because like a lot of people think they have 30, 40 people that are actually like their friends or super close. You don't. Okay, there's probably a handful that are actually there for you when it matters, and this kind of cuts through a lot of the BS when you go away. And the crazy part is that when these people that you find out who are actually in your life, that are good people and you want in your life, you see them one time a year, and it feels like no time has passed. Okay. Oh my God, Johnny. Sammy, like this is amazing, and there's nothing. When you catch up on stuff, everyone's excited to see you because it's been a while, right? You haven't been going through the same old routine back home, and you guys talk about nothing. Now there's something to talk about, and it's weird, man. Time is very interesting in that aspect, and you appreciate it a lot more. You do so much more stuff. So, like example, my mother visited me in Argentina earlier this year, and I think it was like 10 days, and every day we're doing new things. It was like 6 months in normal life back home, how much experience and activities we got in together, right? So it may seem scary and so forth, but life goes on, and it's more clear after in that fact. And then you meet more people. Okay, not everyone you stay in touch with that says they're your best friend you'll see again. That's another aspect of this nomad life that gets tough. Friends come and go if you're really really traveling. But you meet this guy, like, damn, we really connect, and we have all these things in common, and then you have special moments, and so it's not as end of the world scary. You're never gonna have a new friend again, and all your old friends you're never gonna talk to.
Absolutely amazing that you say that because you hit the nail on the head. I believe the same exact thing. Absolutely, 100%. It's amazing. Same experience. It is rewiring the brain. Like when I was younger, I always felt like I had to be part of a team or an organization or a unit. I had to have the patch, I had to have the hat, some sort of, unit or team. And that's kind of how I always been. But it's just passing things in life. And it's the same thing sometimes with friends, and you're right. I like that feeling of running back into some of your buddies that you hadn't seen in a long time because you've been traveling or down in Brazil, or since I married the Brazilian girl and moved down to Brazil and blah, blah, blah. It's like you never missed a beat. Nothing's changed. You just got older. That's all. And I do have friends like that. And it's better to have quality over quantity, I think. Yeah, you're right. I felt those same sensations and same thoughts that you've had. Amazing.
Hi, Pat. So down there, culturally, what are some of these big changes, pros and negatives? How are you adapting to a full-blown, completely different culture? In my
Yeah.
opinion, well, you grew up in
All right.
Boston, so you're
Yeah.
around some Brazilians, but it's a
Yeah.
different world down here. Okay,
Yeah.
so kind of hit on that part.
All right. Right off the bat, I can't, and this is a thing that a lot of people think I got like OCD or attention deficit or something. Thing that goes fries my ass is the driving down there. It's unbelievable. The driving, the tailgating, the motorcycles right up your ass. It makes me nervous. I don't want to kill you. I don't want to switch lanes and kill you, but you might make me kill you. Yeah, I mean, the more you drive down there, you're really taking a lot of chances. You'll have a truck, a commercial truck, a CDL truck with no taillights. How the frick did you even get in that truck, pal? Because like in the United States, you're going to lose your CDL if you get pulled over, right? Things just falling off the truck. Unbelievable. You're going to lose your livelihood as a CDL driver for that. They don't give a shit. I'm like, unbelievable. But no one cares. That's just like the way it is, The stop signs, you just roll right through that. You just rolled right through a stop sign. Holy cow. Like, you didn't even slow down. You just whipped right through there. And I'm like, I've been to car accidents. I see what happens when people get hit by a car, fall off a motorcycle. It's not pretty. You don't want to see that. And it has to be a daily occurrence down there. That really burns me. And I don't really like driving that much down there. Another thing that fries my ass. What
Life,
was it?
life
Oh,
is cheap. Life is cheap down here, but on the flip end,
yeah.
it makes you feel alive. Okay, that's part of the negative. I always say this, like the
Oh,
the Brazil. Okay, you have the most freaking beautiful beach in the world. You're like, holy shit, how does this exist? And then I look to the side of me, and there's a favela over here where people making $2 a day and shooting guns off. I'm like,
yeah.
how does this? It's a yin and the yang. You can't get all this beauty, all this amazingness without the equal amounts of disgusting crap that goes on. And that's what Brazil is.
That blows my mind. Exactly. Um, Lines. There's social, like I'm not one of these stiff asses, right? Like I think I'm a loose guy. I don't know, but maybe I'm stiff. There's a reason why there's like a line. And just because I turn around for a second doesn't mean you can cut me in line. It's like, where's the line here? Sometimes there's no lines, and that rigid straight line, waiting for a bank teller or a convenience store. That for some reason that goes up my butt too. I don't know. It's
Order,
just going to be.
order and chaos. It's totally opposite here. Yeah, it's that's the part of the low trust thing. That's where a lot of Brazilians, when one of my viral tweets goes out, they're like, we don't trust any one of us. You know, they only like their tight knit family. Well, here's the thing: you'll meet a Brazilian at the freaking bar outside, and oh my god, we're best friends, and we're gonna hang out so many times. And then
Yeah, yeah.
one, you never talk to them again, and two, they go home and their house has a huge fence in front of it with electric fence and shards all over the place. Right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
a facade. It's a facade, and if you're not from this culture, if you don't grow up in this culture, it fucks with your brain after a while. For a couple weeks, you know, vacation is great. A couple months, Hakuna Matata, but after a while, you're like, this is messed up. Like the part here, I'm 6 months. I'm at just under 6 months, and you get freaking, you can't put up with it anymore. You're like, what are you doing? Like, why? Like my tailor the other day, because I had this, I'm trying out another tailor guy. The first guy, he was good. He was solid. But then, like some of his work, like the tags were saying like made in Italy. I'm like, dude, I know this isn't from Italy. What do you want? He's like, oh, sometimes my supplier just does that, but don't worry, this is pure Pima cotton and all. I mean, just saying
Mhm.
dumb shit. And so I try out a new tailor, and this guy, old guy, right? And he's super friendly, so nice to meet you. I'm so happy to do business with you. And I say, yes, my friend, but you know I've had issues in the past with tailors here. Like I need to know, you know, you're gonna have it on time, and you're not gonna give me some shit product. Yeah, oh, of course, sir. You're gonna be so happy. Of course, he's like, oh, you got a little like defensive, and really, I said, yeah, I'm gonna tell you straightforward because. You know, I don't play this little friendly facade game that Brazilians do. No worries, everything's gonna be perfect. Okay, I said, hey, I'm going to Rio on this day. I prefer to have them, you know, these white pants, you know, to go on the beach with the in Rio. He's like, yes, I'll for sure have it, you know, 2 days before. That was last week. Hasn't freaking texted me. You know what I mean? I texted him the day before. I texted him the day of, and then I got back from Rio. I said, "What's the word?" So now I got to go in there tomorrow. And guess what? I paid in full. You never pay in
Oh,
full to
yep.
Brazilians. You pay
Yep.
50% up front, and then at the end you give them their money. But I'm a nice guy that does normal business. I pay you. I know you're gonna do what you say you're gonna do. That's how I grew up. Order, right? And now
Yeah.
I got to go in there myself tomorrow. Look at this old man and say, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, is this really what you do? You know what I mean? You know, oh no, but Nikki, you know, this,
Yeah,
and they'll
yeah.
say
No.
something like this, and
Let's have a
well, this
coffee. Let's have a coffee. Right? So,
yeah. They'll make up some excuse, and so here's what I don't want to dismiss people about Brazil, but I'm telling you right now, if you stay here long enough, it's gonna drive you crazy if you're not from a culture like this, okay? Because a lot of it's the complete opposite from little Western bubbles that we live in, and
mhm.
we say something and we fucking do it. That doesn't happen in a lot of the world.
Yeah, you know, and you like that experience, that lesson, that experience that you just talked about is, you know, it's annoying, but financially doesn't kill you. It's just annoying. It's just one of them things that annoy you. I've had lessons learned in Brazil doing business that have cost more, much more than that, because of the
Especially in real estate, gringos get screwed so many
real
times.
estate. Real estate, yeah. The quick nickel versus the long dime. If you just would have said
A
what you
dollar
wanted.
today is better than $10 tomorrow is the Brazilian mindset. I cannot comprehend it.
I cannot comprehend it. I cannot comprehend it. And it permeates everyone. It permeates so much so that when they come to America, they bring that with them. In the communities that I live, because I lived in very ethnic communities in Boston, you know, very ethnic, that I've always have. Um, it's just a cultural business way of doing things. I love the entrepreneurial spirit. I love the go get 'em attitude. I love it. But there's also just like an ethics thing here. You know, if you say you're going to do something, if you say you can do something, then you should do it. You know, but it's the quick nickel, not the long dime. Because if you did the job right the first time, I'm going to continue to use you. You know, but I've had
And
some.
recommend you to a lot
I
more
recommend
people
you.
and a lot
Yeah,
more business.
I've had some bad experiences that came with a higher cost than your experience. But
Oh, dude,
lesson learned.
I was about to put down on a penthouse in João Pessoa, couple minute walk to the beach, wrap around balcony, the whole top floor, 4 bedrooms, rooftop pool, 150 grand. Okay, in João Pessoa, I mean, really good deal. The city is freaking skyrocketing up right now in the
That
Northeast.
is.
Good weather
Yep.
year round. And the fourth time I went through, I had my Brazilian friend who owns a construction company come in there with me and be like, hey, I'm probably gonna buy this, but I need to make sure you think it's good. You know, check every different thing. Within like 10 minutes, he's like, Nick, when it rains, this place is gonna freaking flood. It's gonna seep into the neighbors below you, and you're gonna pay big fines. And I'm like, what? The realtor didn't tell me this. No one's told me this. I've been here. It's my fourth time, right? Like we're about to make a deal. And then so he tells the agent. Agent's like, oh yeah, sorry, sir. Let me talk to the owner. Like 20 minutes go by, and the owner's like, hey, sorry, I didn't tell you about this, but I'm gonna actually build a whole thing over the rooftop of glass so it doesn't rain anymore. I said, are you fucking kidding me? Like, so they're about to, I mean, just take everything, you know what I mean? Just totally screw me. And, but yeah, man, oh, you caught me
It's
on my 32nd hour of my fast. I get a little hyped up about it. So, talk about the good things, okay? So, why the Brazil, the cultural shift, the mindset, why you're even thinking about, staying down here. I think if you do it right, it's 3 months. And you have decent money, you have your own stuff, you don't have to deal with the BS, you don't do any business down here. I think you can push it to 6 months
yeah.
if you're really smart. But, yeah, go over the good stuff. I don't want to be so negative.
That's the plan. 6 months out of the year, 6 months. I want to chase the sun. I want to chase the sun. The good things about Brazil. All right. I'm going to start off with sounds like like boring stuff. The food is outstanding. You talk about. I think it's fresh, quality food. I think the fruits,
The fruits for sure.
the fruits are quality. I never had a. I was never a big fan of bananas, but get your potassium, work out, get a banana, put it in your milkshake. Yeah, bananas taste like nothing in America. Bananas in Brazil taste like what I would imagine a banana would taste like. An orange. I hated papaya until I had a papaya in Brazil. I thought papaya tasted like perfume or chemicals in the United States. I eat it there. Corn, beans. Like there's like a lot of foods down there that actually taste the way I think the Matrix has made it supposed to taste like. For some reason, I don't get that in the United States. That's a positive. I like the family culture of Brazil. Maybe it's because of my background, my family, not a traditional family, not lovey-dovey, not a lot of positive things. But down there, it just seems like that family life is very important. There's still respect for elders, I think, and I like that. I like the nuclear family unit and the hierarchy within that family. I think is great. Like I don't really do dishes. It's like all the younger nieces do the dishes. It's like that's cool that there's actually everyone has a job and a role. I like that. The beaches we talked about. I'm not a drinker, but if I was a drinker, like I was in my younger days, that would be a paradise. 'Cause things are cheap. Things are inexpensive. You know, healthy lifestyle. I think is another one. I think if you are an athletic person or an active person, you have a lot of physiotherapies, a lot of dental places, a lot of doctors, a lot of gyms to go to, and if you don't want to pay for those things, you can do it on your own. You have enough outdoor activity. Although the gym
They have
equipment,
outdoor gyms that are free.
yeah, yeah,
In Puerto Rico, they have a bunch of stuff like equipment just outside. You work out.
and some of them are good. Some of them are really good. I've seen high quality steel work down there. Some of them are a little rinky, but some of them have been really good. The gym equipment, though, down there, I would say is a little inferior. It's hard to get a good grade, you know, treadmill or elliptical machine. Either that, or I'm just spoiled from being on the fire department. We've always had like free gyms and good equipment there. But it's a healthy lifestyle, especially if you said you were in Floripa. Man, you see a lot of bikers there. You see people running, triathlons, swimming, and the people are beautiful. I got yeah, I mean, you just got to come out and say the people are beautiful, you know, and it's different than what a lot of Americans would think. You talk to a lot of Americans and say, imagine what a Brazilian woman, or if you like guys, what a Brazilian guy looks like. They're going to have an image in their head. And it's just so diverse that, you know, most likely they're wrong, especially in Floripa, you know. Very healthy people, I believe. That's my experience, or maybe it's just the crew that I hang around with down there. They all just seem to be into fitness. I like that, you know.
See, yeah, all good points. A lot of stuff there. Fitting in. Okay, so you said you found that family atmosphere. Obviously, you have the wife, so you have that in already. But as a more mature dude, I keep coming back to that. Going down to a new country, I mean, you're not going to the bar to meet friends necessarily. How are you finding a little social circle and finding your groove? Are you working out with people, going on walks with people, playing basketball? I mean, that's a great idea. Pick up
Yep.
basketball now. Paddle is very important. There's language exchange. That's more of a younger thing, but I did that finally in Argentina. Mundo Lingo, very unique, very interesting. What about you? How are you? You and the wife going to some, community get-togethers or what?
Yeah. So most of the, circle of friends that we hang around with have to do with Pilates, yoga, or working out like the gym, the healthy people. My wife's friends are all college friends from way back. So that's kind of our circle. But she has such a big family down there that cheapest, the family's so big and they always get together and there's always something going on with her family. They're coming to see us, we're going to see them. So it takes up a lot of time. Time goes by pretty quick. But yeah, I would say that's the majority. It's somewhere around the working out, the rehabilitation, the physiotherapy, I think. But what you said about basketball is like, I enjoy playing basketball. I enjoyed playing basketball up until just a few years ago, until my body started not recovering as well. Um, there's not a lot of basketball there, and I would love to just pick up a ball. And so, I know there's one outdoor court, but it doesn't seem to be used that often. So I thought maybe I'd just go out there and fly a flag and just start shooting around my Celtics jersey on or something like that. See if people get a pickup game going. I don't golf, so that's really not a passion of mine. I got to find some other sports to do that are less on the body. Maybe I'll bring what's that game called? Cornhole. They like to play bocce down there a lot, but maybe cornhole might be something I could bring because I don't see any cornhole games on the beach. You probably see that little tile game that they throw, the little discs that they throw, or bocce you'll see. But cornhole I think would be a fun game to introduce to the Brazilians.
A great idea. Yeah, you should bring that cornhole down here. Okay, Pat. I like to do it around an hour. It's a great
Yeah,
conversation. Kind of go finalize into that for that dude. Who okay, hey, life. I'm getting up there, and I don't feel like I've lived that much, and I've just been working and so forth, and be able to take some crazy leap of faith. Like this to go actually do what they want to do before it's all said and done. I think that's the big mindset I've taken from you. I mean, the cancer scare, throwing your money into Bitcoin real estate, now taking off to Brazil. A lot of dudes hit that point, where it's now or never. What would you kind of say to them?
yeah. So kind of like what's that? Is it Plato? Plato in the cave. A lot of times wherever you grow up in the United States, especially me, in the Northeast, in the fire services for many, many years, you get stuck in this bubble. There is not much diversity. Yeah, the guy next to you might be a different skin color, he might have a different religion, he might be a different sexual orientation. There is diversity in that sense, but you're all from the same freaking place and you think of the same way. And so, how do you get better? How do you, jeepers, everyone is so similar in that sense. You can ask a question, you can already know the answer. So, what I'd say to that guy that's debating it, grow a pair, I would say, grow a pair and try it because you can always come back. What I'm doing is, I can't come back. Once I retire from the fire services, I can no longer be a firefighter. That's it, it's a one-way ticket. But if you have like a job that you may be able to transfer laterally or come back to after a sabbatical, grow a pair and go somewhere different. Like in the Northeast, in Massachusetts, a lot of guys are Irish American. They have Irish blood in them. They go to Ireland. Not much different. You grew up with that stuff. Go somewhere different. Southeast Asia, South America. I like South America because it's a little bit closer and closer to our culture in a sense. But grow a pair and go down there and experience it and see what the world is like, why struggles happen. And I think you're going to come to a conclusion. A lot of the problems that we find in our lives is rooted in the disparity of money, haves and have nots. And when you figure that out, you're going to want to be on the have side. So be smart with your money. Don't try to chase and be a consumer. There's other things in life besides a number on a screen. So go out there and live it. Feel it, smell it, taste it now. Because someday you're going to be too old to jump off the back of that boat without breaking your neck. Enjoy it now. I've seen it too much in my line of work. Guys retire, 5 years later, they're dead. And what did they get out of it? They worked and saved a bunch of money that lost half of its value by the time they retired. What BS of a system that is. So grow a pair and go somewhere and make a concerted effort to learn about that culture and the people and bring back what you learned to the United States and be a better person. I think it makes you a better person the more you know, the more you experience. Can't learn karate out of a book. You have to get punched in the face. You have to throw a punch and you have to get punched in the face. Just reading a book doesn't cut it.
Beautifully said. And exactly, you don't have to go change your whole life and move down to Brazil forever. You can take what you
No.
learned, appreciate more where you're from. That's the biggest thing
Yes.
about traveling. The more you
Yes.
travel, the more you appreciate how you grew up, your values, where you came from. Every country. I mean, not just the United States. Anyone that travels, like, damn, mama's or nana's pasta was great in Italy, or the Danish. Wow, our society's so safe. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So like, just freaking try it if you have the calling. If you're already freaking happy, you like life, Hakuna Matata, but there's any sort of calling or something like, damn, maybe I should try it before it's all said and done. Just take the freaking jump, okay? Life is not going to stop. The world's not going to end, especially if you can do a sabbatical. That's amazing. Or do a little work from home or get a nice, vacation time and just freaking jump into the deep end. Get out of your comfort zone and
Yeah.
your brain will blast off. It'll be see so many different things, and you start questioning all these different things. And well, what really makes me happy? Do I like watching football? I grew up. I still play. I still play half the year overseas in different countries. American football. I love playing the game. I grew up. I loving American football. Now I haven't watched it for 8 9 years basically. I don't. I could care less. But back home, everyone and their mother is obsessed with the Patriots and this because that's what you grew up in. Okay, that's your cultural programming. Once you leave all
Yep.
that, you get to really see what makes you tick and what doesn't make you tick. Right. So I love what you said, Pat. That's a great ending on it, and I hope any dude that watches it that's kind of on the diving board, scared to take the leap, can maybe reach out to you for some advice, huh?
Yeah, and that's another thing that, this is why I wanted to do this and talk to other people such as yourself, because the circle and the network is important to develop. Guys who've gone through what I've gone through, you know more than I do, and more gringos will be coming. I tell a lot of these Brazilians, learn how to speak English or Chinese because they're coming. They're coming. It's either China or English, and they're going to fight over it because there's too many
Hey,
good resources in Brazil. So it's guys like you that I look to and watch and try to learn as much as I can from you guys because you've already done it. So if anybody wants any just to shoot the shit or any advice in certain situations, they can reach me through you. I mean, you have my Twitter handle and all that stuff. No problem at all. If I can help you, I'll help you. No doubt.
beautiful. Hi, Pat. I appreciate it. You're a good dude. It's a fun conversation. Hopefully, see you sometime. Well, you won't be back in Brazil anytime soon, right?
A couple months. I got a timeout for a couple months, so I'll be going back there. The wife's coming up for a bit, and then we're gonna go back together.
Yeah, I'll be probably in, I think, Europe in most of 2026. But one of these times, okay? Because you'll be down there a lot, and we'll have to catch up, and be great to
Oh,
see you in person and get a
and I look
workout
for.
in. No tweaking, just a workout.
I'm looking forward to your other adventures because I like watching it. I enjoy
I
it.
appreciate it, my friend. It was great to meet you face to face or virtual, and I
Yeah,
hope that hand gets better. And
you'll be
I appreciate your message.
good. Thank you.